Hey everybody, as promised I got some cool homesteading videos. This is Troy from the Do-It-Yourself world, and today I'm making soap. I have an order for 40 bars of soap, and so I've got to really get pumping it out here. I've got over here, can you see it over here? I've got some 10 bars drying. I've got another 10 bars here. I'm letting the soap firm up before I try to cut it. I got my soap mold here. I got my soap cutting form here. And right now I'm going to mix up another batch of soap. And I'm going to let you watch how I do it. Except for the mixture of the ingredients, I'm going to keep that to myself because I also now have a soap making website where I'm going to start selling soap. And I know it's been a lot of years. I've made a lot of soap through the years. And I've always talked about selling soap. A lot of you who followed along have known I've gone through some tumultuous times, so to say, to put it gently. And right now, since my shoulders are not doing very well with firewood, I'm working on soap and a few other things. I've got quite a few things going on for making some money on the side. But today, this is what I've got because I have to fill this order. And I want to ask you, anybody who's interested in soap, while I'm going ahead and processing a bunch, if anybody wants some soap, please let me know. There's going to be different types of pure vegetable oil. Right now I have soy, and I bought vegetable oil and brought it home and found out it also is soy. So there are some people who will use soy and some who will avoid it. This one here I went and got, and it is also pure soy. There are other oils which I will be getting, so if you want soy, if you don't mind soy, a lot of people love it for vegan soap, and soy is considered very skin neutral. So these bars here are pure soy, and there's no negative effects to your skin and no positive effects either. Once you start adding olive oil and coconut oil in different formulations with soy or the base oils, then you start to get different benefits to your soap. Now, since I'm mass produced and I have not washed the utensils in between batches, because I've got to get all this done in a hurry. So I'm doing a 2-pound batch, which comes out to a 48-ounce load. With all the ingredients together, and it looks like this. There's the form, and you can get them on Amazon. I'll put the link down below. I am no longer going to try and compete. Back in the day I could make soap forms cheaper than you could buy them, but these are $10. You can't beat that. I'm not going to try to compete. So I'll put the link down below for those who are interested. And I need 32 ounces of oil in here. Now I'm going to go with 16 of the base on this one, but I'm not going to tell you the other mixtures. I'll be right back when I have them filled up here. I am making a crock pot hot processed soap today, and before I proceed, there are some safety tools needed. Some protective eyewear in case you splatter your lye. Very important to protect your eyes, and some gloves as well, because the lye, food grade, same stuff used to make bagels and pretzels, before it's processed and in its raw form, will melt your skin. Actually, it turns it into soap, which is sort of cool. I have had it happen. Your fingers start turning slippery. Doesn't hurt until it gets down there a bit, but if it gets on your more sensitive parts of your skin, you can feel it. So some people may want to wear long sleeve shirts and some clothes that they don't mind harming, because it is a heavy base and can cause burns. I've warmed up, or I have the crock pot warming up on high. I'll turn that down to low in a minute here. Should I turn it down now? And I'm going to carefully pour my 32 ounces of oil into here. Now I've got to let that come to temperature. I want about 100 degrees oil temperature before I add the lye. Or you can start with everything cold. You can premix your lye, wait for it to cool down, and add it to cooler, cold oil. I'm just going to bring my temperatures up first. Alright. Now since I'm going to be adding lye to my oil anyway, I'm not going to waste my time cleaning this out, because any oil left in here will just be converted to soap in the container. So there's no stress there, no reason to, I think, to wash your container in this case. Alright, now I have to get geared up. I'll be back. Alright, now I'm all nerdy looking. Okay, the next step, I'm going to put about 10 ounces of water in here. So far all we have is oils in my container, so nothing dangerous right now. Now, I have modified, you can refer to, if you want the exact ingredients list, you can refer to my previous videos and articles. I can link them down below if you want. And you can go back to them for exact, precise ingredients list. I've got my water. Now I'm going to measure my lye. Do this over the sink. You do not want any of those granules getting on anything. Also, once exposed to the air, they're going to start sucking up moisture from the air. So if you spill your lye on anything, it will absorb moisture and start eating. I spilled some the other day on my manual scale, and I just noticed it was starting to eat. So it's caustic. So I got to measure my lye. For this next step, never ever 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 pour water into lye. You'll get a volcanic explosion and you'll have a fiery mess all over, not flaming, but I mean burning and eating everything in your room. If you put the lye into the water, and I use my spatula, silicone by the way, to buffer that so it doesn't splatter, put your lye into your water a little bit at a time, stirring it. This is going to cause a heating reaction. Make sure I'm recording. Yes. It is going to heat up. And here's where I wasn't really at all concerned with any oil that was remaining in this container, because it's all going to become soap here anyway. The lye that's in here is going to start reacting, and I don't really care about that right now. Add it little bit by bit, stirring as you go. Do not have your face over that. Don't breathe it in. I heard there's some bad stuff comes out of there. I don't know, and I'm not going to find out. Just stir that in slowly. Alright, I'm going to have to rinse that out when I'm done. Rinse that off in the sink. Alright, now, I've got to wait for my oil to warm up to the right temperature, so we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, now, I still got my protective wear on because it gets to be sensitive, and here's where splashes are possible. I'm going to take my spatula again. I'm going to take my lye water mixture, and I'm going to very carefully pour the lye water onto the spatula, letting it run down the spatula into the oil, stirring occasionally. And I'm keeping the camera away for right now for safety reasons for the camera, but I'll show you in a minute here what exactly is going on. That clear oil turns a color, a whitish color, and starts changing colors when the lye enters the mixture. I'll bring the camera up onto the counter here in a minute, because we're going to have some really cool stuff going on for the rest of this process. Now, I have a stick blender here. Safety goggles. I got this on Amazon too. It was only $11 and some change. It's still the same price today. I've had this since 2017. I love it. Back to crock pot. Hot process soap in the crock pot is one of the easiest methods you can do. So for your first ones, it's full safe and it's simple. And there's no worry about temperature. You have off, low, and high. Let the crock pot do its work for you. And you don't have to worry about, I mean, I still use the crock pot because I love it. It's my preferred method because it's so simple. So, I have a stick blender. One thing about a stick blender, the only negative reviews on the stick blender, on this particular one especially, are those people who put it in and ran it and ran it and ran it and ran it until they killed the motor. Don't do that. These are designed for a couple minutes or 30 seconds to a minute at a time, as with your like bullet blender or any other blender. So I put it in straight up and down, hold it straight up and down, get it running, and then I can tip it a little. Now I want to show you, before I go much farther with that, what this looks like. Okay, now, I hope you can see it well. It's got a little bit of a whitish color, but it's still an oily look. Again, put the stick blender in, straight up and down, then hit the button, and then you can tip it. Now watch that turn white. Immediately it starts turning. Already, what you see, the white, is tiny soap particles already being formed, and there's an oily looking sheen on the surface of the oil. Like, I can't explain oily sheen on oil, but you can see there's a different texture floating on the surface, and that's your soap. Now I only run this like a few seconds at a time and let it cool off for a couple minutes. If you could run the stick blender non-stop without burning it up, you'd have a much faster batch of soap. But the reality is, I haven't found any of these that are designed for long-term, uninterrupted use. So what I'll do is I'll run it for a minute, and then I'll let it rest for a couple minutes, and let the heat do its work. Now I keep my Pyrex container here because it's a perfect holder for the stick blender right next to my work. Now it's already getting thicker. This first stage takes maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and look, it's already very creamy. Look at that. It's already very creamy. This looks like cream of wheat cereal, what I grew up with. Actually, it's still my favorite cereal. What we're looking for now is called trace, and that's when a little bit of the soap glops up and hangs on the bottom of your spoon or mixer or whatever. We're almost there. Actually, notice, I'm going to zoom in some more. You'll notice that it's starting to hold shape. See that? See how it's starting to hold its shape? See it glops on. Where am I in the camera here? See it glops on. See it's hanging off the blade and it's hanging off the end. It's very gloppy now. Where am I? Alright, that's trace. When it hangs. So that's it for the stirring part. Look at that. It's really holding its texture now. Let me stir one more time. I like that. It's got the pudding texture. I love it. Look at that. It's thick pudding now. Look at that. We put the lid on. Now comes the easy part. Now I just check it every few minutes, now and then, and give it a little stir and let it cook. And here comes the long part too, though. This could take anywhere from 1 to 3 hours in my experience with this particular crock pot. Yours might vary from mine. So I can't tell you an exact time how long this will be. But we'll bring the camera back in a little while. I'm going to let this cook. If you have on a low heat like a crock pot, you got no problems, but sometimes it volcanoes and tries to boil up. It's really cool looking. But in this case, I don't usually have that with this crock pot. A hotter crock pot, you'll get some volcanoing where it'll sort of boil up and try to climb out the sides. Really, really cool, but not really desired. No harm done if it happens. But this is a very mild, very nice tool for this. And I'm just going to let this cook down until all of the lye has been consumed in the making of soap. Now, we just occasionally stir it. See that really cool stuff on the side? It's getting thick now. Look at that. It's like creamy here. That's so weird. It's creamy here. I love making soap. It's so fun. It's so got weird mixtures in it. This batch is almost done. It starts to get really thick and really hold its shape now. But it's I just did what you call the zap test. You take a tiny little bit. I take on the back of my fingernail. You can take on a spoon or a spoon handle, just a tiny bit off, if I can get it to. And then I let it cool. And then I touch it to my tongue. And if it tingles, then it's not yet done. And it's going to feel like a 9-volt battery when it's done, if it's not done. And you could also use a litmus test, but at this point, let me get my fingers dry. At this point, I'm not sure what results we're going to see on the litmus paper. Oh, there. Yeah, we still got some color in there. So you can do a litmus test and see. And yeah, there's still some lye in there. We still got some work to do. See that? Alright, now this part has to go really fast. Once the soap has set up and is done, I just did the zap test on my tongue, then you have to get it into the mold in a pretty hurried manner because it's going to start setting up and solidifying really fast on you. Now, I like to get a little bit in first, get those corners filled in, and then shake it up hard. You don't want any bubbles. Fortunately, this crock pot isn't too hot to work with. You got to be relatively quick on this step because it is going to start setting up, and then it'll get harder and harder to get into your mold as it sets up. And work those corners. You don't want any air bubbles in those corners. Work it in those corners. Well, there's the soap in the mold. It's already firming up. This batch is firming up mega fast. So now I want to leave it alone and let it cool down slowly, all on its own. So I'm just going to set this one aside while I work on another batch off camera. This batch will sit overnight, and then tomorrow I can dump it out, and I'll show you the other stages of soap making before we wrap up this video. Alright, there's a newly poured batch of soap. There's a batch that I pulled out of the mold, and this was a single oil batch, so it's going to take time to firm up. It's soft if you press on it. I can feel, I don't leave a fingerprint if I gently touch it, but if I press, I can certainly leave an indentation in it. So this one's got to set a couple days, and then you get to this stage after they've been cut, and these are finished soaps that are now just drying out to firm up enough for shipping. But any of these already, considering it was the hot process soap, all three of these could be used immediately. They're already soap and they're ready to go. So there it is, guys. There's the 3 stages of my homemade soap. Please let me know who is interested in buying some soap, because while I'm cooking I might as well keep on going. So I do have some options. I have some pure soy, or I have some pure vegetable. I'll have to get a different vegetable, non-soy. So anybody interested in one of those two, this is a pure soy bar. And again, it's pretty much very neutral. There's no real benefits or negative aspects of it. It's very skin neutral for those with sensitive skin or skin issues. Check the description and the comments below. I'm going to have it all laid out. You can have pure soy or pure other. I'll find an other. You can have some soy with some olive, or some whatever with olive, or whatever with coconut. Let me know your preference. Or a mixture of 3. And each one has different properties. It's too much for me to go into right now. A lot of you who know their soap know what they're looking for. But you'll get a more moisturizing and firmer soap with the combinations here. Plus there's antimicrobial properties and all kinds of other properties involved in the different oils in soap. So let me know your thoughts, who's interested, and I'll keep cooking. Please like this video, subscribe if you haven't. I'm back to homesteading hardcore here. Talk to you later.